So thank you for introductions. My name is Tembo Nakamoto. Today I would like to make a presentation about my study. This topic is about international tax avoidance. Today I would like to mention about my background goal and goals of my research and method. Our method is come from so-called network science. And a little bit I explained about the data we used and explained the results and the implications from the results. And my background and the goals of our research is, so the poverty has become very big problems. You know, the first one of sustainable development goal is say no poverty. At current situations, 800 million people still lack access to food, drinking water, and sanitation. So for fighting poverty, it is very important for industrialized countries to give some international aid to developing countries. But we think, of course, it is true, international aid is so important, but also the own financial resources of developing countries is also very important. If developing countries can have own financial resources, in other words, can get appropriate tax revenues, they can fight their own poverty for themselves. So the problem is how to raise their tax revenue. So the tax rate of corporate tax is not so different between industrialized countries and developing countries, around 30%. But tax revenue is different. Industrialized countries, they raise tax revenues compared to their GDP. They can raise 30%. But about developing countries, they only 50%, so it's kind of half. So the problem is how to raise their tax revenue, how to get appropriate tax revenue from developing countries. So there is many reasons why developing countries can't raise their tax revenues. One of big reasons is, it is often said, profit shifting. So multinationals try to shift their profits from developing countries to low tax rate countries. So one of the important issues is how to solve this profit shifting. Because many developing countries lack of effective tax policies. So how to make effective tax policies against profit shifting is very important to reduce poverty. So in our research, the goal is find characteristics of firms used for tax reasons. Because multinational enterprises have many subsidiaries all around the world. Some affiliates is for conducting their business. So for example, they want to do their own business in foreign countries, so they make a new subsidiary in one country. But another subsidiary is what kind of subsidiaries? It's just only for tax reasons. So you know, it's very famous, so-called paper company. So only for tax reasons, they make a new subsidiary in some countries. So in our analysis, we try to find what kind of characteristics of firms used for tax reasons have. And from the result, we want to consider what kind of effective tax policies against profit shifting. So we use the method of network science. At first, we construct so-called withholding tax network. Withholding tax network is what kind of network? So there is many tax. So you know, income tax, consumption tax, corporate tax, and withholding tax. Withholding tax is some person or some firms send their money to another country. The country will impose the withholding tax. So please see the figure at the left side. So for example, country A, some firm in country A want to send their profit to country B. So at that time, country A will be imposed with withholding tax on that profit. And at these situations, one thing will be happen. So a firm in country A want to send their profits or send their dividends to another firm in country B. So if they directly send their profits to another country B, country A will be imposed 50% withholding tax. So for example, they send $100 to another country, they have to pay $15. But country C or country D imposed between country A and country B, the situation is a little bit different. For example, let me say a firm in country A send their profits to country C. In this case, the country A will impose only 5% withholding tax on their profits. This is because country A conclude tax treaty with country C. So tax rate, the withholding tax rate is different between countries. So originally, they want to send their profits to country B, but country A will impose with 50% withholding tax. So some multinationals try to think about mitigate these tax liabilities. So they make some subsidiary in country C. And at first, they send profits to country C because it is only take 5%. And a firm in country C sends their profits in country B. It is only also 5%. So 5 plus 5, in total, it's just 10%. So even though they want to send their profits to country B, but they make a paper company in country C or country D, only just for tax reasons. So the purpose of withholding tax network is to find what kind of countries can be used for these kind of schemes, so for mitigated tax liabilities. So this is the purpose. What kinds of country can become country C or country D? So at first, we input tax rate all over the countries, and we try and find smallest tax path. So the smallest tax path means the smallest tax liabilities. So in this case, from A to C to B, and from A via D to B, this is the smallest tax path. And please see the figure at the right side. So there is two smallest tax paths. So give each countries to 1/2. So because there is two smallest tax paths. If there are three smallest tax paths, we give a country 1/3. So like this, we try to find what kind of countries can be used for tax reasons. And the another network is ownership network. So before one, I used information of tax rate. This one is we used the information of ownership. So what kind of firm have what another firm? So the information, using these informations. So at step one, I try to find base. So here base means so-called tax havens. So tax havens have many capital inflow from foreign countries, very biggest capital inflow from foreign countries compared to the size of their domestic economies. So at first we try to find that kind of tax havens. And after that, we try to find conduit. So conduit means from tax havens via those conduit into another countries. So in this network, I try to find the conduit network. And after that, we pilot the first network, so withholding tax network and ownership network, and try to find what kind of firms use for tax reasons. And the data we used is always 2015. The data is produced by Bureau van Dijk, and this contains many firm-level data, so more than 60 million firms across 215 jurisdictions. And using this data, we construct our network. So this is the results. And from the viewpoint of withholding tax, this shows the 10 countries. It means via these countries, multinational corporations send their profits to another country at less tax liabilities. And this is a result from ownership network. So from ownership network, this kind of industry and the countries multinational have. And the final one is multi-layer network. So this figure shows Netherlands and financial insurance subsidiaries in Netherlands are often used for tax reasons. Or Luxembourg, a wholesale or retail trade subsidiary in Luxembourg are often used for tax reasons. So we find especially finance or insurance industry or wholesale or retail trade industry often are used for tax reasons. So the policy implications, a little bit mention about policy implications. So because tax treaty, these problems happen. So we think developing countries have to pay attention with tax treaties with the countries having high centralities to preserve tax revenues. Because if they conclude with some countries having high centrality, maybe they can attract more capital inflow from foreign countries, but it's kind of trade-off, but they lose their appropriate tax revenues. So we think developing countries pay attention to these things. And about the industry, because finance or insurance companies or with wholesale or retail trade companies are often used for tax reasons. So it may be give some regulations about those industries. It will be effective to profit shifting. So this is a conclusion. My motivation is poverty and profit shifting is very related. And I use the method of network science. The results is the finance and insurance or wholesale and retail trade are often used for tax reasons. So policy implications is give those industries, give countermeasures those industries. And developing countries it will be better for developing countries to think about the counterparts of tax treaties. That's all, thank you.
Thank you.